to convey this thing. And to convey it, you need to have knowledge. And to convey it, you should only discuss what you know, not what you don't know. We moving on to the second session, which we had last week, about coming to the foundation. Because for any human being, the most important characteristic and the most important component of his life or her life is the foundation which he or she has. Because that defines him, that defines her, that organizes their life, determines for them what is good and what is bad, and what are the most important things in their life. And that foundation for any human being is their iman. And we use the word iman because we link it to Islam. But the iman of other people obviously is not from Islam, but it's the foundation. And we said the way we come to this foundation is very, very important. And by and large, the Muslim ummah of the last hundreds and hundreds of years, the way we came to iman is upon an incorrect basis. And what were the examples we gave of incorrect basis? Parents. So imitation. That we have just imitated in our belief because of what we have inherited from our parents, without questioning whether this is right or whether this is wrong. And we gave the example that when we go shopping, we never let our parents decide the clothes that we are going to wear. We don't let our parents decide what shoes we're going to buy. We don't let our parents decide the friends that we're going to have. But yet our parents decide what we believe in, the most important thing. They decide that for us. So it's imitation. We said also regarding imitation, the issue about imitation of personalities, influential personalities, which actually affect us. We gave many examples of that last week as well. And the other thing we talked about incorrect basis is that which is given through emotion. Either through an experience, that we've had a very bad experience and somebody comes and say, look, I can solve your problem. We say thank you very much and we just follow them. And the experience could be a very, very harsh experience, like happened to, we discussed about many Muslim sisters in the Muslim world. They feel they've been very much suppressed and oppressed and given a very hard time, and they blame Islam. And they very much target Islam. There's a woman who has actually a Muslim name, a very nice Muslim, a very beautiful Muslim name. And she's become very proactive in attacking and criticizing Islam. And she says she is a Muslim, but she's strongly attacking, criticizing Islam, many of the rules of Islam, attacking them, saying these are backward rules. These rules were for 1400, they've got nothing to do with the Muslims of today. Fundamental rules of Islam. And you can either see that she's either has got an axe to grind because of her own childhood upbringing, or because she's been very much affected by Western culture, and therefore she's made that her standard. So our experiences and imitation has become the foundation of much of what we believe, and this actually contradicts Islam fundamentally. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, in at least 40 ayat, and the number we came to was how many? 44, at least 44 ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran condemned the previous generations of what they believed. And we get the beautiful example of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He went to his father was an idol maker. He said, why do you worship these things which I play with? I throw around, how can you be worshipping these things? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this in the Quran, in the beautiful narration. Yeah? Where the people said, قَالُوا وَجَدْنَا, we found أَبَاءَنَا عَبِدِينَ, that we found our people worshipping these things. And that's exactly what we are doing, blind imitation and following. And we went on to say, what was the error that they made? What was the error that the West have made concerning Islam? What's the error that they made? That's right, that's the error that they made. They made Islam like a religion and compared it to Christianity. And we said the two principles of religion is what? One, you have a blind faith, blind belief. And number two, you have a personal relationship with your God inside the masjid, inside the church, inside the synagogue, inside the temple. It's a personal relationship. It's built upon blind faith. Whereas Islam isn't a religion because our belief is not established upon blind faith. Rather, we have to prove it, be convinced of it intellectually. And secondly, Islam is what is inside the masjid, but also what is outside of the masjid. That's why Islam is not a religion. That's the mistake that they made. What was the mistake that we made? We actually proved their point. Because we made Islam like a religion for them. And they said, look, exactly, you Muslims are as we've described you to be. You can't prove your belief. And look at the way you live your life inside the masjid. And that's how we've been for hundreds of years. And this is how they viewed Islam. So we actually proved the mistake that they made. Three things very quickly. So why is thinking the most important thing? And why should we start with thinking? Why should we start with thinking? For the first and foremost reason, Islam demands it. Islam demands we start with thinking. That's the most fun. That's like a very fundamental reason. Any other reason? You need to have proof. Simple example we give. Somebody comes up to any one of us and says to us, "You're a Muslim, why do you believe in God?" What do you have to do? You have to give an answer, but how are you going to give an answer? You don't say, "Please wait, it's coming." It's coming from... No, it's not going to come from your heart. You have to give an answer. You have to think and give an answer. Thinking is the foundation. You have to explain and justify what you believe.
But when you give an answer which satisfies your mind, it satisfies your heart.
Jazakallah khair, yes. By all means, something which satisfies your mind, it should satisfy your heart. It should. Not always guaranteed, but it should. Because we say the foundation of Iman, it enters the mind and it settles in the heart. And that's why the scholars talked about the issue of the heart. They said, Muslims have two hearts. Qalban. They don't have just one, they have two hearts. And that this is the one of entry point, and this is where it sits. And that's true. So thinking is because we need to prove our point. And thirdly, because what we say, a very simple point. Yeah, Jazakallah khair. The thought is the basis of all of our actions. The only action which is not governed by thought is when we go window shopping, an impulse buying. We won't mention our sisters and our wives and our mothers in case they beat us up afterwards, but we know that it's all about making sure that we go shopping. We know it's all about an action based upon the way we think. And we give many examples that we don't just do action for the sake of actions. There's always a thought behind it. And the most important thought is the foundational thought. So what's the challenge for us then? What's the challenge for us? The challenge is? The challenge for us is to not just preserve those Islamic thoughts. The challenge for us is to gain and get those Islamic thoughts. Because we're living in a situation where there's a lot of struggle to deny us getting those Islamic thoughts. The most fundamental ones. And the challenge for us is to connect our Iman to our life. Not to a part of our life, but to all of our life. That's our challenge. How we make this connection. And very quickly, I just want to divert. I was with some brothers last night. It was about midnight, and they came and we were discussing. And one of the brothers, he has to go and go to Luton today to give a talk. And this talk is about the situation in Pakistan. And he's a qari, he's an imam, and he was asking, he goes, what's the best way I can present the subject? And he said, subhanAllah, the Muslim world is rich in resources. The Muslim world is rich strategically, and therefore any nation whose way of life is our benefit would seek to exploit and get hold as much as that they can. And Pakistan is a good example of that, where Pakistan is rich. For those of us who are from that part of the world have gone to see that, we see the poverty, we see the immense difficulty, but that's not because the country is poor. The country is very, very rich. But all its resources are being exploited and taken out of the country and used by other nations. As if once upon a time it used to be just for the sake of the resources. But over the last 10-15 years, those resources have been connected to Islam. And that's why they see the challenge of Islam, and this is very much this point. The Muslims are connecting how they manage their resources and how they want to organize their system